The Spellbinders April release is filled with some really fun press plates, dies, stamps, and more. Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel. In today's video, I have a few items from different collections that were released in April, and I want to share them with you today. So we're going to jump right into the card making, and I'll let you know what the new products are as we go along. The first collection we're going to take a look at, I have several items from this Propagation Garden collection, which was designed by Annie Williams for Spellbinders. This is the Leafy Helix embossing folder from the Propagation collection, and I've embossed an A2 piece of Spellbinders cardstock. You can see it is a great background for plants, leaves, and other items. This is the Hello Oval wax seal, and I'll create a few of these wax seals so I can decide which ones will match the colors that I end up creating my cards in. I've said before, when I'm creating wax seals, I definitely create several at a time. You might as well while you have everything out. Don't forget not to press down on that stamp, just place it down on the wax and then let it sit there until it completely cools. And then you can see this gorgeous hello in the oval. You can see how I poured it out a little bit more oblong than circular. I didn't have quite enough wax on the other two seals that I created, so they're a little bit smaller and they don't have that outside, but they still look like wax seals. I think wax seals are not meant to look absolutely perfect. They're meant to look like they were pressed and that they're kind of vintage. So these are the three that I created and added a little color to the embossed parts of that image. This is the Tropical Leaves press plate and dies, and this is also part of the Propagation collection by Annie Williams. I'm using two different color greens on my press plates so that my leaves will have different colors on them, and you can see how fun that turns out when you can add a couple of different colors to one press plate to make it look like it is multicolor stamped. I'll do the same thing but with a pink and orange ink from the Spellbinders BetterPress collection, and you can see how those turned out as well. The best part is that there are dies to cut these all out, so no fussy cutting necessary. Next up, we have the Propagated Plants dies. Now these create different plants and leaves, and there's also a die set of different jars, and there's a set that you can hang plants by, and this is when you take a clipping from a plant and place it either in water or in soil and let that new clipping turn into a new plant. So that's what this collection is about. But because I didn't have the jars or the other pieces of the Propagation collection, I'll just be using these as little plants and leaves on my cards. So even if you just want to get these leaves, you can still create some really pretty cards. I've cut out each of the dies in a couple of different colors because they are all layerable. So I have two different colors of leaves. Here's the roots that I was talking about when you propagate those plants. So I'll not be using the roots for my cards, but you can definitely use them, especially if you're using them with those jars. All right, so this is everything from that die set cut out and glued together. Next up, we have the Propagation sentiments, stamps, and dies. And this is a really great set. There are some very versatile sentiments like happy birthday, but then there's also things like be leaf in yourself, let love grow, which could be used with lots of different either plant or flower dies and press plates. Now that we've done all the die cutting, press plates, and the embossing and the stamping, I'll put a few cards together with this collection. So I have that Helix Leafy embossed background cut down to 4 by 5 1/4, and then I have the stamps and dies from the sentiments set, be leaf in yourself, and then I'll layer up some of the Tropical Leaves press plates that I die cut out with the dies. Super simple to pull that together once I had all those pieces done, and so this is a really just fun and unique card to create for someone. This one, I've cut out an arch out of white cardstock with the Spellbinders arches, and then I used the Leafy Helix embossing folder on it. I've placed a bit of thread around one of the press plates and then added a wax seal on top of that. And then I'll place that all on some foam squares on a pink background. For this card, I cut a piece of white cardstock down to 3 3/4 by 5. And I'll place a couple of the die cut BetterPress plates of the tropical leaves in pink and orange down on the card, one at the top, one at the bottom. I'm using a circular piece of adhesive for the wax seals. This is my favorite way to adhere those wax seals, and I'll place that right in between. Now this seemed to just perfectly match that cardstock color in the background, which is a newer color from Spellbinders. I'll link to that down below in the YouTube description box. This time I cut that pretty teal color down to 3 3/4 by 5, and I've embossed it with the Leafy Helix embossing folder. I'll use a little tape runner to adhere that down to an A2 piece of white cardstock. Then I'll trim off the side of that Let Love Grow because the label die that I had was way too long for that, so I cut it off and then trim off the side so it can go flush to the right side of the card. And then I'll place one of those propagated plants down. I've popped up the leaves and then glued down with liquid adhesive the stems, and now I'll place these leaves over top so it looks like it's all one plant, and I'll tuck a couple of them behind some of the leaves that are above. So I thought this was a fun way to include a few together and not have to use the roots or the whole element of propagation. It makes it look like a whole plant. Next up, this die set is the Fresh Picked Vase Bouquet dies from the More Fresh Picked collection. I don't know if you've seen the Fresh Picked collection when I originally used it in a video, but it was so popular that Spellbinders decided to come out with some more. So these are very modern, beautiful flowers that can take up an entire card front. So you'll see there's lots of layering dies involved here. They're very easy to put together. It's nothing more than a couple of flower centers here and there, and you can see that there are little dots on the vines or stems, and that makes it really easy to adhere these flowers down to those vines and stems when you're ready. But first, make sure all of the little daisies have their centers. Then I'll take a few foam squares at the bottom of this vase and place it on some cardstock. The reason I'm placing the foam at the bottom is so that I have plenty of room to tuck these stems and leaves into the top of the vase, and they won't hit against those foam squares. So I'll use a little bit of liquid adhesive on this first leaf, and you'll be able to put them all down on one A2 piece of cardstock, but it takes a little maneuvering, and you can see that these two leaves, the one on the left and the right, both curve around the handles of the vase. So there's all kinds of little clues like that on where to put these leaves, but you can definitely use less flowers if you want. You can put just a few in there, but I love the look of all of them together on a card. So next I'm just placing a couple of the leaf stems, and then this one is a straight stem that you place this larger flower, and this one you can see there are 3 little dots. That means you're going to place 3 flowers on it. Anywhere there's a little circle, you can place a flower. So you can see how easy it was to place all of these on one piece of A2 cardstock, and I just love how they come together. So I grabbed a sentiment from the Propagated Garden collection that says happy birthday and placed that right on the vase. I could not stop creating cards with all these fabulous new items from Spellbinders, but I'd love to hear what caught your eye this month. Let me know in the comments below. As always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, that went really fast. It's okay. It's okay.